Hi, I'm Penny Dick's AstroCoach and welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my astrological overview for the month of June 2021. And that'll be followed by a look at your individual zodiac signs, so stick around for that. But if you want to leap straight to your particular sign, in the description box underneath this video, these signs are time-stamped. You just click on the time next to your particular sign. Remember to check out your Ascendant as well and your moon sign, because it can really give you quite an interesting kind of dimension on everything that's going on. So let's have a look at what we can expect this month. We're in Gemini season. Halfway through, we will be moving into Cancer. And so Gemini is the storyteller. So Gemini likes to listen. Gemini is curious. Gemini is full of vitality. They never sit still. They're always on to the next thing. They can be quite the social butterfly, Geminis. It's also, one has to watch the nervous system with Gemini. And there may be an element of that around at the moment with everything starting to open up. We'll probably all be feeling that sense of kind of slight nervousness and anxiety about what to expect and how to cope. And, we don't know whether to hug or to bump arms or what we can do. Somebody lunged towards me the other day and shook my hand. And I was like, oh, so, there's all these things. And it was like, I have to wash my hand. So there's a lot of that kind of energy that can be around at the moment. But let's move on to what is going on in June. So what I want to talk about first is the planet Pluto, my big boy in Capricorn, all on his own there, which is fine because Pluto has been tearing down the old order, bringing about the changes that need to happen to the world in general. And to a certain extent, that'll be happening in your own lives, depending where the sign of Capricorn and Pluto fall in your natal chart will determine the area of your life where most of the kind of deconstruction to allow reconstruction is happening. So what's happening with Pluto this month? We start with Pluto in an opposition to the planet Mars. This is really super interesting because Mars is about energy, action. It can also be aggression. So it's in Cancer. Cancer has no boundaries because Cancer is kind of water and flows, and it's all over the place. And Cancerians emotionally can sometimes appear to be all over the place in their emotional state inside, but they won't show anyone. So here we have Mars in Cancer, where he's kind of drowning a bit and swimming against the tide, opposite Pluto. So I thought about this and I thought, well, Pluto represents that which no longer serves us, needs us to go, and it needs to go so we can move forward productively. Now, we have this conflict. As I record this in mid-May, there is a conflict that started up again between Israel and Palestine, sadly. This is probably partly due to this Pluto-Mars opposition and this energy that is at breaking point. Interestingly, Neptune is making a very gentle angle to the planet Pluto. Now, Neptune is in Pisces. Neptune is about no boundaries. This whole conflict is about boundaries and what belongs to whom. So it's quite interesting that, in a sense, we probably need to allow Pluto to break down the old ways, to put right what was initially put wrong. Must be careful not to get political here, to allow things to move forward and heal. But I just want to talk about Neptune because it allows, the Pluto energy can allow us to sort of dream ourselves a better future. And that's really what the world is trying to do in general, to dream a better future. we must never underestimate the power of our dreams, you know, because everything that exists in our life was once a dream. So, moving on, we have an ongoing tension, which is probably also why we have this conflict going on in the Middle East between the planet Saturn, that is about contraction and boundaries again, and Uranus, that actually goes, whoa, no boundaries, and is the unexpected and change, and whatever you're not expecting, I will produce. And Uranus is in Taurus. So we have these two powerful players centre stage again. They were also centre stage mid-February. So you need to think back to what was going on for you in mid-February, because that will give you a good clue as to what we can expect to come centre stage again on the world stage and in our private personal lives. So this is about, though, situations that need to change. And because of this slowdown, I just think it's going to bring some uncertainty with the sort of exit strategy from the pandemic. I think we will see an economic contraction again, in spite of the fact we are going through a kind of post-pandemic boom currently. I think there'll be something that will throw a spanner in the works with that. And also I'm thinking about cryptocurrencies, because they would be, in a sense, under the sign of Aquarius, where Saturn is, boundaries. So there may be something that comes up about cryptocurrencies. It may not be the best time to try and realize anything you may have invested. I just feel that with these energies, I would hold fire before I tried to realize any capital on any investments in whatever area. So, and I think probably, you know, the pandemic with these variants, especially this Indian variant, could be the cause of what puts a spanner in the works. So, and obviously it depends where these planets are in your personal charts as to what you can expect personally, but I'll come to that later. Now let's just have a quick look, because I want to talk about Mars again, who is making this opposition to Pluto, because Mars actually moves into Leo on the 12th. So he will finally come out of Cancer, where he's been really swimming upstream. So I wonder if we see a significant change about what's happening with this conflict in the Middle East around that time. I'm just going to have a sip of water. But certainly Mars moving into Leo will give us an energy burst to compensate for this kind of harsh Saturn-Uranus slowdown that we keep getting. And it'll help us to stand back and just see the bigger picture. But I also want to say that Saturn is making a really gentle aspect to Chiron, the wounded healer. So in spite of what may look like quite a full month of dramatic energies, Saturn, this sextile to Chiron, is like the healing is taking place. The healing is coming. We are moving forward. Saturn is telling us this takes time. We might take 1 or 2 steps back. Give it time. We will get there. Now, just going back to Jupiter. Jupiter co-rules Pisces with Neptune. So Jupiter is also going to really help our intuition to be actually spot on. Now, whichever area of your chart that Pisces falls and Jupiter falls in with Neptune is the area of your life where you really need to trust what your intuition is telling you. But we'll come to that again when I get to your individual signs. On the 20th of June, Jupiter will actually go retrograde again, and he will go back into Aquarius at the end of July. And then Jupiter will be there until the end of the year, when he will finally move into Pisces. But this next kind of month or so, you're going to get a real sense of that freedom that we can get from this energy being in the sign of Pisces. And Neptune, interestingly, goes retrograde on the 25th. For me, that means actually with Jupiter's presence in Pisces, it's a good chance to revisit any dreams and ideas that just didn't seem to take off, because I think this Jupiter energy could bring a bit of luck into that. And you might find that something can take off if you sort of weave around and use some of the other energies that are at play in the chart to make that manifest. The other good news, of course, is that Mercury, that's been retrograde through the first half of June, goes direct on the 22nd in Gemini. So if you have been having issues with technology, messages going missing, documents, etc., problems like that, those things will get resolved now. But also, I hope you will use the Gemini retrograde energy in these first 2 weeks of June to revisit and re-look at things, and anything that needs to be communicated. This is a really great way to communicate it in a much more eloquent way. So, you know, Mercury retrograde can be a gift, because it can also highlight something that if you just steamed ahead, you'd have overlooked, and it could have caused you problems later on. So just bear that in mind. Now, on the 10th of June, we have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Gemini. I'll go into the energies of this event when I do the new moon solar eclipse video live stream on Facebook. So I'm not going to go into that much now. And on the 21st, of course, we have the summer solstice. So we actually have the sun moving into Cancer, and here in the Northern Hemisphere, which I find really bizarre, just as we're about to go into summer, the planet goes, oh, no, we're not. We're going back to autumn, which I just find extraordinary. It just amuses me, but there we go. And we haven't even had summer yet, but we will. It's getting warmer, hence sleeveless dress. And then the full moon at the end of the month is on the 24th of June. And this one is in Capricorn. And again, I will talk more about that in depth when I do my live stream. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for this part of the video. And I'll leave you now to go and have a look at your individual signs. And remember to check out your Ascendant or moon sign, because it can give you a really good view. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one Astro coaching session with me, I'd love to meet you and help you maybe work on certain areas of your life that have become problematical. And you can find my website and contact details in the description box underneath the video. And if you would like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd be super thrilled if you could. Thank you so much. And I will now let you look at your signs. So this is for the Sun in Aries or for the Ascendant in Aries. The ongoing energies for you are very much to do with your financial situation, because you've got Uranus, the planet of twists and turns, unexpected developments, in Taurus in your second house. It doesn't have to be bad, even though we have this hard square from Saturn up there in your 11th house, where you might want to get a little bit more carried away with things. Saturn actually is just slowing you down. So be mindful of this energy and allow that Saturn energy to just keep you on track, okay? So we've also got Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter has moved into your 12th house. Now, this is very much about you and the inner you, your psyche. I really think this is going to help your intuition. I think over the last few months, it's been quite difficult to always know whether you're actually on the ball or not with regards to your intuition, especially about yourself and how you feel about things. This Jupiter energy is going to, in a sense, expand that, but I think bring in some optimism so that you're going to begin to see that actually the bigger picture could actually be much better than you'd imagined. On the 10th, in Gemini, we have a new moon solar eclipse. And this is going to be in the area of your chart connected with communication. So I think you hear some news which eclipses everything else. I'm not quite sure what I mean by that, but that's what I'm picking up. I think Saturn, with his aspect that he's making to this new moon, will be kind of saying, you see, I told you, if you slow down and wait, it would come out. Neptune, however, could make you feel as if you're a little bit lost at sea with what may get exposed to you. But we have to remember that we have all month in the background healing energy from our wounded healer, the asteroid Chiron, the centaur. And Saturn and Chiron make a really gentle aspect. So healing is going to take place for you, Aries. It's a thing of time, but it will come. On the 12th, Mars is moving into Leo in your 5th house of creativity, fun, parties, children, anything, you know, acting, music, singing, dancing. And I think some much deserved fun is going to come your way, Aries, because I think life has been a little bit tough for you over the last few months, and this is really going to open things up. We have the summer solstice, of course, on the 21st, when the sun will move into Cancer, into the area of your chart connected with home and family. So it's always a good time of the year to spend a bit more time on family and just looking at sort of how the home can be made more comfortable for you. Mercury goes direct on the 22nd, again in Gemini, where we've had this solar eclipse. I think this all coincides, and it's in your 3rd house of communication, with more news that is going to come out that is really going to be quite of a shocker. And I just think it's going to leave you a bit, well, I never saw that coming. So that's also going on this month. The full moon this month is on the 24th, and it's in the area of your chart connected with your work, your 10th house, Capricorn. So it's time, I think, when we get to the end of the month, to really shift your focus to where do you want to move forward to with your career? Is there some part of your working life that needs to change in the sense you need to kind of close a chapter on a certain part of the way you've been working? It may just be a way of working within your current kind of career path, but something may need to close, to be completely deconstructed so that you can start building a new way of moving forward. Good stuff, Aries. Quite an exciting and eventful month. So I wish you well, and I'll see you next time. And now let's move on to Taurus. So this is for the Sun in Taurus or for the Ascendant in Taurus. You must be going through the most enormous changes, Taurus. With Uranus currently in your sign, I think you have this, you are surprising people daily by the twists and turns that you are kind of incorporating into your life that really kind of surprise people. So this month, I think there needs to be a little bit of tweaking of how you take care of you and how you structure your, in a sense, your working life. Because I think you got so excited about things and you need to just slow down a bit. So I think Saturn with this square this month is asking you to get a little bit more structured about how you do things with your career, because this Uranus energy is getting you almost overexcited. So just bear that in mind, Taurus. Jupiter, however, is in Pisces now, and this is your 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams. This is super energy to have here, and I think you're actually entitled to have a little kind of secret wish and dream for what can unfold for you. And Jupiter's presence here really makes the manifestation of that quite possible. It may not actually happen till next year, because Jupiter's going to pop back into Aquarius at the end of July, and then finally will move into Pisces at the end of the year. So I think what you have to look at is, while the energy of Jupiter is going to be in Pisces over the next few weeks, what do you really want to manifest in your life? What is your passion? What do you want to just pull in and go for it? On the 10th, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini. This is in your house of finance. So you may have to be a little bit mindful of your finances. Look at your budget and make sure you don't get a bit too exuberant. Or it may be that there are things going on in the world in general. Maybe that contraction I talked about in the overview of the month, that is making you a bit edgy and a bit nervy, because I think you do get quite nervy about your finances sometimes, and actually you've got no need to do that, Taurus. You're fine. So on the 12th, Mars, our planet of action, energy, sexuality, is moving into your 4th house of home. This is going to give you, I think, a boost to start thinking, what do I need to do in here? How can I just change things around a bit and make it a little bit more full of energy? It's like you want to shift the energy at home, and that's always a good thing. We have the summer solstice on June the 21st, and this, of course, is when the sun will move into Cancer in your 3rd house of communication. So this, I think, just sheds light on that, and I think it's just going to show that maybe you'll be communicating more with friends and neighbours, making some short journeys, and just generally having a little bit more connection, which hopefully as lockdowns around the world are opening up, that will happen. The good news too, with regard to what I was saying about your 2nd house and that solar eclipse, is that on the 22nd, Mercury, who is in Gemini in your 2nd house, goes direct, having been retrograde for most of June. Now, anything that has been held up, any payments that have just not shown up or come through, will now manifest themselves. So don't worry if you've been waiting for something, it'll come through. It's just got a bit delayed. We also have a full moon in Capricorn on the 24th, and that's in your house of higher learning and travel. This could be really interesting for you, Taurus, because I think you'll be making some decisions about whether you are going to travel this year, if so, where that's going to be. But I think you're going to be very sensible about it, with very good kind of stoic Capricorn energy, and only look at doing it if it's going to work itself through in an easy way. So there we go. That's for you, Taurus. Now let's move on to Gemini. And this is for the Sun in Gemini or for the Ascendant. So, okay, Gemini. This is your birthday month. Well, the first half of it is up till the 21st. So many happy returns. How do you feel around your birthday, and how do you feel with all the interesting energies we've got? Because we have got this energy of the Saturn-Uranus square, which I keep going on about, which means that you've got Saturn still slowing things down with regard to travel, and this part of you inside, this inner you that really has had enough of this and just wants to break out. So Gemini, of all the signs, I think you're one of the ones that is finding it most difficult to endure the continuation of various restrictions and rules and boundaries courtesy of Saturn. This will change. Just be patient, Gemini. But I do think mid-month you're going to really want to break out. So, you know, try to make sure you just keep a lid on that a bit. Jupiter is, however, going into Pisces, and that's on the 10th. And Jupiter is in Pisces, and that's in your 10th house. And this is the area of your chart connected with your career. And so this is going to bring some movement and opportunities back into your working life, which may have got a little bit stuck over the last few months. So where things had been blocked, they're going to start moving forward. And this energy is around till the end of July. So it will give you a little bit of a taste of what to expect between now and the end of July, because then Jupiter will move into Aquarius. But by the end of the year, Jupiter will be back in Pisces. So next year, you have this wonderful Pisces Jupiter energy where your intuition can really serve you well on what's happening with your career path, your kind of your public image, if you like, how people experience you in the world. Mars is moving into Leo, and that's on the 12th, and that's in your 3rd house of communication. So this is really going to ramp up the kind of communication and energy. And it's interesting because there's a lot about communication for you. You are, of course, a sign that is all about communication, Gemini. But you've got a solar eclipse, new moon solar eclipse in your sign, the 1st house, and that's on the 10th. That's really interesting. That's going to give a new lease of life to the way you feel about yourself. I think people are going to experience you in quite a different way. And I also think that this, because we've got Mercury, who is your ruler, going direct on the 22nd, where you may have been, I don't know, holding on to things and kind of maybe even biting your tongue, you're going to have plenty to say. So we also have, of course, the summer solstice on the 21st, and that's when the sun will move into Cancer, out of your sign, into your 2nd house of finance. This is going to be nice energy for you, because I think it's going to, this time of year, I think you can always relax a bit, because you're able to just pay a little bit more attention to this side of your life and see how you want the next 6 months to unfold with regard to your financial situation. The full moon this month is in Capricorn, and it's on the 24th. It's in the area of your chart, which of course is to do with other people's money. So again, if there is money that is owed to you, then it's going to show up around this full moon. And that's a lovely way to kind of bring this month to a conclusion. So thank you for watching this part of the video, Gemini. Cancer. Okay, so this is for the sun in Cancer or for the ascendant. We have this ongoing Saturn-Uranus square this year. You'll have heard me talk about it a lot. And you need to think back to what was happening to you mid-February, because that'll give you a clue as to what energies you can expect to be around in the middle of June. And it's for you, it's very much about the area of your life connected with hopes and dreams, wishes, something you'd like to manifest, and larger groups of people. So this could be something that involves larger groups of people. And you're really trying to put some foundations into it and some roots. And Uranus just keeps moving the goalposts. Meanwhile, Saturn over there in Aquarius is kind of slowing you down and saying, let's just wait. It's not quite the right time. It's like there's something you really want to commit to, but it's just not the right time. Trust that. Trust that the universe knows what it's doing. Because at the end of the year, the energy will shift considerably, so that next year you will be able to see the way forward much clearer. Now let's also look at Jupiter, our planet of opportunity, expansion and luck. Also spirituality and higher learning, because Jupiter is going to be in Pisces in your 9th house. Now this is also the house of, to a certain extent, higher learning and spirituality. It can be religion, for example. So I have a feeling that with Jupiter in this part of your house, which is Pisces, you're really going to be seeing life and thinking about it in a much more kind of broader sense, so that you may find you're more drawn to finding out about the meaning of life, so to speak, to looking at various spiritual practices and finding out where you kind of sit in all of this. You know, are you a person that wants to bring in the scientific fact to somehow make sense of what can sometimes be fantastical? Next year, Jupiter will be in this part of your chart for quite a long time. So you're just going to get a taste of that now, and then you'll get much more of it next year. Now, on the 10th, we have a solar eclipse, and a solar eclipse new moon in Gemini. Solar eclipses always happen when the moon is new, and it's in your 12th house. Now, this is the part of the chart that's connected with the deep inner you. So what I want to say to you, Cancer, is I wonder how good you've been taking care of you. Not so much what's on the external physically, because that will only improve if you improve on an inner level. And I think this eclipse is saying it's time. It's time for you to really have a good talk to you about the way forward for you. So I also want to mention that, of course, Mercury is in this part of your chart as well. And for the first couple of weeks, Mercury is retrograde. So Mercury is really giving you a lovely opportunity to go back and actually revisit you and how you feel about you, because Mercury's going direct again on the 22nd. So make the most of Mercury's presence here, because it'll really give you a wonderful chance to communicate with you. It's like a little bit of self-talk, self-therapy. And remember, you know, our self-talk is actually a conversation with the universe. So be careful what you're telling yourself. Finally, let's just look at the full moon in Capricorn on the 24th, because this is in the area of your chart that's connected with significant, close personal relationships. And this is a really lovely kind of opportunity for your relationships on all levels. That can be business, friendships, marriage, just partnerships, for it to change and kind of, if it needs tweaking or it needs attention, to give it the loving care that it needs. I will go into that more deeply when I do my in-depth look at the full moon report, when I do that later in the month. And also I forgot to mention, which, silly me, because of course on the 21st the sun moves into your sign. And this is always lovely for you, Cancer, because I think it makes you feel a lot better. I think the sun's healing light comes in and just gives you a real burst and a real boost. And that is on the 21st. So happy birthday to the Cancerians between the 21st and the end of June. And then in July, we move into that sector. So just 3 thoughts before I finish. Stop overthinking. Your first thought is the right one. Please get the rest that your body is asking you for. And allow the wonderful insights that you're going to get set you on the right career path. So that's my message to you, Cancer. Okay, thanks for joining me for this part of the video. So let's have a look at Leo. This is for the Sun in Leo or for the Ascendant. Okay, so we have this ongoing Saturn-Uranus square all year. And for you, it's bringing in the energy of your house of career, your 10th house, with your 7th house of close partnerships. That can be a significant relationship in your life. It could be a business partner. And it just feels that there's a bit of tension because the Uranus in your 10th house really wants to keep things moving. It wants to keep upturning the apple cart as you come up with more and more kind of new ideas, innovative ideas, Leo, to tweak your career path and to take you forward. And this 7th house Saturn is just saying, slow down, one thing at a time. And I think also what Saturn's doing is saying, listen to older, wiser people, not necessarily older, but people that perhaps have a bit more experience than you, perhaps in what you're trying to initiate. So just a thought. Jupiter, our planet of luck, opportunity, expansion, higher thinking, higher learning, has moved into Pisces. And this is the area of your chart that's connected with, amongst other things, it can be other people's money. It can be money that perhaps is owed to you. It can also be about, and because it's Pisces for you, it can be commitment and a kind of a deeper understanding of the kind of transformational, transitional way that life works, because it's like you have a sense, I think, when Jupiter is in Pisces for you, that there is more, that there really is a kind of a huge web that you are connected to. You're just going to get a glimpse of that until the end of July, when Jupiter will move back into Aquarius to just bring a little bit more luck and fairy dust into your close personal relationships. And then next year you will get the full impact of this lovely opportunity with which Jupiter brings into your life in Pisces. Now, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini on the 10th. And this is in your 11th house of hopes and wishes and dreams. I think there's something here for me about you being involved in something to do with communication that you really want to kind of move up a few notches, change gear, get it into a sort of a, rev it up a bit. And I think this eclipse is saying, yes, you can do that. But I think Saturn, who is just in the picture a bit, is saying, but be mindful of your timing, be mindful of how you take care of you, because Saturn can often be about our own self and our health. Mars, our planet of action, who has been drowning in your 12th house of Cancer, finally moves into your sign on the 12th. And gosh, I hope you've prepared for this, Leo, because when Mars is in your sign, it really kind of, you are going to be so super busy, and you're going to have the energy to do it. But I think at the same time, you have to be mindful of pacing yourself. We've got the summer solstice, of course, on the 21st. And this is when the sun moves into Cancer, and it'll be in your 12th house, which is also a time for inner reflection, because whenever you have planets in Cancer and in this 12th house part of your chart, it encourages you and invites you to really look within and dig down deep. So just bear that in mind, Leo. Neptune is going retrograde on the 25th in your 8th house, which is this area of your chart to do with possibly other people's money, inheritances. So if there's been anything that's overlooked, or there's an idea you've got of something you'd like to manifest, perhaps with some money that's come to you, then this would be a good time to revisit that idea. On the 28th, Venus moves into your sign, Leo. So the end of June and from about mid-June, you are really going to be shining, and you're going to have just light all around you. It's going to be a really super lovely time for you, Leo. On the 24th, and here's the kind of little bit that we just have to be a little bit careful of, we've got the full moon in Capricorn in your 6th house. Now, this is very much about your physicality. So I think what it's doing is it's going to be telling you, if you need to take more rest, if you need to slow down, if you need to structure your daily routine in a better way, this full moon is giving you the opportunity to do that and to get rid of things and routines that do not serve you well. That's what I feel this one is about for you. So I'm just going to give you 3 things to leave you with, which is, okay, if you've got a really good idea, don't let everyone else know it until you're really sure that you have it grounded in you. And you need to really take a little bit more care of your physical health, because your working life is getting super busy. So just pay a little bit more attention to that. And on another level, your insight and intuition is going to really get a lovely boost. And that's really from Jupiter. And just make the most of that and trust your intuition, Leo. Okay, thank you. Virgo. This is for the Sun in Virgo or for the Ascendant. Let's look at Jupiter first, because Jupiter, the planet of luck and opportunity, is going to be spending a few weeks in your 7th house of significant relationships. Now, this is Pisces, and this is really super good for you. And I just think it's going to bring, I don't know, just a nice feeling that you're going to have a lovely time with your significant other. Remember, if you are single, this could also bring the opportunities. So get out there if you can in your part of the world. Try and meet people, because it's only if we go out there and meet people that we're going to meet someone new. So that's going on, that energy. But also, it's going to give you an idea of what to expect next year, because Jupiter will only just dip his toes into your 7th house until about the end of July. Then he's going to be going backwards more to Aquarius, to your 6th house, just to tidy up any loose ends with routine and, you know, day-to-day activities. Which brings me on to the Saturn-Uranus square, because you need to think back to what you were doing mid-February. Whatever that was, whatever area of your life was being kind of restricted, slowed down, or unexpected developments, you can expect similar events or energies mid-June. And I think it's important that you pay attention to your daily routine and look at what needs to stay and perhaps what needs to go. It's an opportunity for you to restructure the way that works out for you. On the 10th, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini. And this is in the area of your chart connected with your career and your career path. So it's actually giving you a really lovely boost to initiate some new ideas. The eclipse might say they might not be quite ready to be absolutely out there on the public stage, but if you've got the ideas, this is a good time to actually just really look at getting those on paper. Mars is moving into your 12th house on the 12th, into Leo. Is this good? Well, I think it's just going to make you a little bit more aware of the inner workings of your psyche, so that you might need to do some in-depth look at yourself. And I think this Mars energy will give you the energy to do that. And if there are parts of you that you're not comfortable with, then I feel this Mars energy in your 12th will actually help you kind of cut through that and just go, right, let's look at this. Let me find someone to talk to about this. Mercury has been retrograde in your 10th house of work, and Mercury is going direct on the 22nd. So if things have been held up, if things have been delayed with regard to what you want to initiate, because remember, we've got that solar eclipse, and that energy will last for quite a while. So you can use all of this energy, this new moon, total solar eclipse, you can use that with this Gemini going direct on the 22nd in Mercury going direct on the 22nd in Gemini. You can really use that energy in a very good, constructive way. We have a full moon in Capricorn on the 24th, and this is in the part of your chart that's connected with fun and play and just getting out there and enjoying yourself and creativity. So if you're not, why not? Please, Virgo, don't just sit behind the desk or on the social media or whatever it is that you're doing. Please get out there and have fun. This full moon is saying, I know you don't like to be too extravagant and you don't want to sort of spend too much on having fun with others, but actually just do a little bit of it. And I will tell you more about that full moon and the new moon solar eclipse when I do the lives on Facebook through the month of June. And I'll leave you with a few thoughts before I finish. One is, if your thinking has been a bit muddled over career issues, then that is going to shift, and it'll shift mid-month. And really get out and about and start socializing, Virgo. And the energy you're putting into your career path would really pay off if you also put that energy into the inner you. So there's some thoughts to just be left with, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now, Virgo. Libra. So let's look at the Sun in Libra or the Ascendant. I'm going to talk about Jupiter first, our planet of luck and opportunity, because he is moving into Pisces for just a few weeks, and this is the area of your chart that's connected with day-to-day routine. It's also health matters. So he's going to give you a taste of what to expect next year when Jupiter will be in this sign for quite a while longer. It's about day-to-day routine, so it's giving you some opportunities to perhaps create a better routine for yourself. So take advantage of that, Libra, because you've still got this ongoing square between Uranus that is causing disruptions in your life, and Saturn that's in the area of your chart that just wants to go out and have fun and just experience life. And Saturn is really slowing that down and putting up boundaries and blocks. I mean, okay, we know why on one level, because of the pandemic, but it seems to be more highlighted in your chart, Libra, because I think of all the signs, along with, I think Gemini is another sign that is finding this lockdown, or the lockdowns that we've been enduring, difficult. You find it quite tough. Let's look at what can change that, because on the 10th, we've got a solar eclipse, new moon in Gemini, in your 9th house of travel. It's also the house of higher learning and higher thinking and sort of more spiritual values. And first of all, I think, Libra, you'll be looking at ways that you can get around more, that you can travel more, that you can have a holiday, even if it's just a staycation. And the eclipse tells me that even though it's a new moon, so there are opportunities to do it and you can make your plans, but the eclipse tells me that they might just get held back again. So just be mindful of that, Libra. Let's look at the fact that you've got Mars moving out of your 10th house on the 12th into Leo, which is your 11th house. So this is bringing a real boost of energy to this part of your chart that wants to kind of launch dreams and ideas, and you've got plans that you want to put into practice. And Mars is certainly going to give you the energy. Whether they're actually going to get acted out, we're just going to have to wait and see, because of this other energy that's going on in the chart. We've got the summer solstice, of course, on the 21st, when the sun moves into your 10th house of career, Cancer. So this will just be shedding light on this part of your life. So if things have been a little bit sort of humdrum and low key with your working life, then this will just bring an injection of light into it. Gemini, which is your 9th house, which is where we've had this solar eclipse on the 10th, right? Mercury is there, and Mercury has been going retrograde. So you've probably had lots of things that you've tried to get going, and Mercury is bringing delays. It's like, I was talking to someone only yesterday who was saying they had flights booked, and like for many people, they suddenly hear they get cancelled. So there may be a bit of that will be going on for you. But the good news is that Gemini, or rather Mercury in Gemini, goes direct on the 22nd. So that should see things. So from the end of June, you should get a clearer picture of what you may or may not be able to do in July. And then we need to look at the full moon, because we have a full moon in Capricorn on the 24th in the area of your chart connected with home and family. So there could be some news about family. There could be some changes that they will make you aware of. You may be just making a few changes, or decide that something has to go, or you just want to sort of, I don't know, just tweak your home environment a bit. So that could be going on. But let's just leave you with a few thoughts, because your mind is really active at the moment. You've got lots of adventurous ideas. And I really feel it's important that you're patient a little longer, because I just think it is going to be a little bit longer before you can implement these plans. And this full moon in Capricorn would be a good time perhaps to clear out the clutter at home. If you can't travel yet, use the time productively. And I just want to also say to you, explore the endless possibilities of life. Because you know what, Libra? Dreams do become reality. We just have to have that faith. Okay, Libra, I will leave you with that. Scorpio. So let's see what's going on for you this month. So this is for the Sun in Scorpio, or for the Ascendant. What's going on at home, and what's going on with the really important relationship or relationships in your life? Because whatever was going on in mid-February, it's going to kind of rise to the surface again mid-June. So just be mindful of that. And I always think it's worth keeping in mind that phrase, which is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I think things might get a bit volatile around there, because Mars will have moved into Leo, so it's kind of going to be in our theatre of play, so to speak. So it's bringing a lot of kind of quite aggressive energy into the equation. So just be mindful of that. But Jupiter, our planet of luck, opportunity and abundance, is moving into Pisces for a few weeks. And this is your 5th house of creativity, fun, play, laughter, love, anything, you know, children's sort of anything that brings you joy. It can also be romance and flirtation. So, you know, if things have got a little bit tough with your other half, then maybe you just need to kind of just take the pressure off and just go out there and have a bit of fun and a bit of harmless flirtation. Because on the 10th, we have a solar eclipse, new moon in Gemini in your 8th house. You've also got Mercury retrograde here at the moment. And Mercury that rules Gemini will be retrograde here until the 22nd, until he goes direct. So let's just look at what this is about, because it does feel that things that are connected with other people, this can also be investments. So if there's something that you've been looking at financially to kind of perhaps invest in, then the new moon says, yes, it's a good time to kind of look at it. And this is something to do with social media or the internet. So it could even be that you're looking at kind of cryptocurrencies. But I do feel the eclipse is a little bit of a caveat of a warning. It's saying it's not quite the time. It's just not quite the time. When Mercury goes direct on the 22nd, then I think things will become a little bit clearer as to what that's all about. So on the 21st, of course, we've got the sun moving into Cancer because it's the midsummer solstice. So this is always a lovely time, and this is your 9th house. So you know what? If there's a chance, Scorpio, that you can get out and about and have a bit of a staycation or a holiday, this would be a super good time to do it. So just bear that in mind. We've also got a full moon in Capricorn on the 24th, and this is in the area of your chart connected with communication. So let's look at what this is about, because there could be some communication that you have to give or initiate that is quite tough. And I think it's going to get you quite wound up. So I think you have to be very mindful of the way you put this across, because words, once they're spoken, it's said, cannot be taken back. So I just feel that if there's something that you need to change or bring to some conclusion, that you're not too cold in the way you deliver it. So just be mindful of that. And I'm going to leave you with a few thoughts. There's a tendency sometimes this month for you, Scorpio, to get caught into a little bit of negative thinking and being a little bit kind of morbid. Stop it. Just put your feet on the ground and get a reality check. Everything is actually fine. We're all going through a tough time, and you just need to kind of ground yourself, Scorpio, and not get lost in this kind of plutonic underworld of doubt and paranoia and all sorts of things. Also, I think it's important that you take good care of your physical health this month, because if these family matters are a little bit taxing, it could be stressing you out. So just again, be mindful of that. I also think you are getting a glimpse of how expansive your imagination can be. And I think you need to shift out of this kind of little negative bit and into that positivity and see how you can use that constructively. Okay, Scorpio, I wish you well. Thank you. Sagittarius. Okay, let's see what's happening for you, for the sun in Sagittarius or for the Ascendant. How's your routine, your day-to-day kind of routine? Is it constantly being, I don't know, disrupted by unexpected twists and turns and events? And I think you noticed this a lot in mid-February, because whatever was going on then is probably going to resurface mid-June. And it does feel as if you're going to have to a certain extent, be mindful of how you communicate that. I think be very careful of knee-jerk reactions when you're kind of answering texts or SMSs or whatever, or on social media, because there's a sense that you might be a little bit too harsh, a little bit too hard. And even though you might know that you're right, sometimes it's actually best that we sort of keep a little bit quiet about these things. So just round off the edges a bit. Jupiter, the planet of luck, opportunity, and general happiness, is moving into Pisces for a few weeks. And this is the area of your chart connected with your home and family. So this is super lovely energy to have there. And it feels as if there's going to be some lovely family energy going on. Really, maybe people are going to be coming to visit. Maybe you're making some spring cleaning kind of changes or sweeping changes in your home. But it's good energy. But the energy of this is going to be felt mostly next year, because Jupiter's just giving you a taste of what it's going to be like to have Jupiter in Pisces. And I think water is a very important part of your life, Sagittarius, in that the home needs to either be near water, or it needs to have kind of those sea colours, those kind of lovely Mediterranean blues where I live, lovely colours, those lovely cool blue colours. So there may be something of that will be, you'll be coming into kind of a sort of creative bit of yourself to look at that. And because next year, when Jupiter moves fully into Pisces, you could be making those kind of expansive changes in your home, even moving, if that's on your personal kind of agenda. Now, on the 10th, we've got a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Gemini. And this is in the area of your chart connected with your significant close personal relationships. So this is your other half, your wife, your husband, your partner. It can even be a business relationship. Anything that is very significant, it comes under this kind of umbrella. Now, new moons always bring new opportunities. So it could be, if you're single, an opportunity to meet somebody new. If you're in a good relationship, then I think it's about use that energy to bring some new ideas into how you can make the relationship a little bit more exciting. And, you know, Sagittarius, you have wonderful energy, and you can really reach for the stars, Sagittarius. So I'm sure you can come up with some wonderful ideas of how you could inject some energy into your close one-to-one relationships. We've also got Mercury retrograde in this part of the chart. So this is Gemini. So it might be that you're hearing from old, very good, close friends, and that will be going on through the first half of June. And then Mercury will go direct on the 2nd. So I think then it'll just get busier and busier, and you'll get a lot of news coming from people that you're very fond of. What else is happening? Well, Mars is moving into Leo on the 12th, and this is in your 9th house of travel and higher learning. So I think suddenly things are going to get quite active, quite energetic. I think you've got to watch your energy levels, that you don't get too tired. So just be mindful of that with that Mars in Leo energy. It'll certainly lift things a bit. On the 21st, we have the summer solstice, when the sun moves into the sign of Cancer. And this is your 8th house. And this is the part of your chart connected with investments, other people's money. So it's always a good time of year for you. Maybe this is when you kind of realize certain investments, or you just look at things and tweak them, and it's just a good time of year for these kind of things. We've got a full moon in Capricorn in your 2nd house on the 24th. Now this, of course, is the area of your chart connected with finance. So how is this going to affect you? It's a full moon. Now, Capricorn tells me that you can be quite mindful and austere about how you manage your money, Sagittarius, in spite of being an extravagant Jupiter-ruled Sagittarian. Where your money is concerned, you will be quite careful. This full moon is showing me that it's going to shed some light on certain areas of your life with regard to money and property that perhaps either need to change, to go, to be completed, but that's the general energy of that full moon for you. So if we just look in general at what perhaps you need to think about this month, don't overthink relationship issues, because if things have been a little bit slowed down or just felt a bit blocked, it will shift, and it will shift mid-month. And just watch these daily routines, because I think if you're rushing around trying to be everybody to everybody, then you're going to exhaust yourself. So make sure you get enough rest. And it does feel that there may be things in your life that no longer serve your soul, that deep inner you. And sometimes we have to recognize when it's time to do a little bit of almost like social pruning, and then our soul can breathe. So on that note, Sagittarius, thank you for joining me. Capricorn, let's have a look at June for you, for the Sun in Capricorn and for the Ascendant. Capricorn, let's look at your ruling planet Saturn, because Saturn is now in Aquarius, which is your second house of finance. Saturn's going to be encouraging you to put good boundaries in place with your spending, a sort of, tweak your budget, look at investments, look at perhaps a pension plan if you don't already pay into one. So he's giving that kind of grounding to you there in that area of your life. But be mindful of the fact that Uranus in your fifth house, Taurus, and Uranus is our planet of the unexpected and of unusual behavior, could be making you quite sort of extravagant in what you might want to do within a creative context, and perhaps using your financial piggy bank where you wouldn't normally perhaps do that. So just be mindful of it, because if there's any area of your life that you're worried about with regard to your finance, think back to mid-Feb and what was going on then, because this may also be what's playing out on the world stage that will be affecting all of us in some way in the middle of June. So for you, I think it is about finance and getting that balance between play and serious sort of saving. So just to be mindful. You've had Jupiter in this part of your chart, so I think it's probably made you quite free with spending, which is quite uncharacteristic for a Capricorn. But Jupiter's now going to be slipping into your third house, Pisces, just for a short while before he returns to your house of finance to sprinkle some fairy dust and bring in a little bit more money. And then next year, Pisces, or Jupiter, will be in Pisces in your third house of communication. What is he going to do while he's there? Well, I think it's going to really ramp up all your communication. I think you're going to be very vocal about a lot of things. And this, Pisces energy is so much about, the sort of the mysteries of life and the hidden depths of life. So I get a sense with this that your imagination is going to be really boosted by the presence of Jupiter here. And you will be communicating your thoughts and ideas in a very good way. So, and also we've got to look at the fact that we have on the 10th a solar eclipse in Gemini. Now this is your sixth house. Now, it's a new moon solar eclipse. We always get a solar eclipse when it's a new moon. If we're going to have a solar eclipse, it's on a new moon, whereas a full moon lunar eclipse is always on a full moon. Okay, that's cleared that bit up. So this solar eclipse new moon in your 6th house is going to give you some new ideas to tweak your routine. Even though you may not be able to implement them straight away, I think what you've been trying to do, Capricorn, is establish a routine with your working life and day-to-day routine that really works for you. And you haven't quite got there yet. But remember, Mercury is also retrograde in Gemini in this part of your chart at the moment. So once Mercury goes direct again on the, let me see, on the 22nd, that's going to give you the sort of the green light to really see how you can start making some changes with your working life, your routine, and feeling much more comfortable about it. Mars is moving into Leo on the 12th, and this is your 8th house. So this is the area of your chart which is very much to do with other people's money and investments. So this kind of links in with Saturn down here in your 2nd house in Aquarius. So it may be that there are some loose ends to do with investments, or you need to put some energy and attention into looking at these areas. It can be sometimes to do with completion on wills and inheritances. That's another aspect of the 8th house. We've got the summer solstice on the 21st, and that's, of course, when the sun moves into Cancer. And this, of course, is in your 7th house. And this is the house of significant close personal relationships. And also it can be business partners. And it's also, interestingly, can be hidden enemies, which I think sometimes people forget about. So not that that is anything that is relevant for you at this particular time, Capricorn, but I'm just thinking about the sun moving over that descendant part of your chart into your 7th house. And in a sense, the sun is shedding light on maybe relationships or situations that you hadn't seen in the full light of day before. So it could just be an interesting time because and the solstice, of course, is on the 21st. So whilst the sun goes through that area of your chart, then these things could be around. And let's look, finally, we have the full moon in Capricorn in your sign, and that's on the 24th. Full moons in our own sign are always interesting because it's about you. The first house is very much about you, how people see you, how they experience you. They may see you making, or you may be thinking of making, quite definite decisions about where you're going next, what you want to do next. Sometimes it's just in our appearance. It could be that you get a new hairstyle, or you change your wardrobe, or you change your style. But just have a think about perhaps how you could give yourself actually a new lease of life, Capricorn. So let's leave you with a few thoughts. It really is, I think, for you about changing your routine, because I think if your thinking is a bit muddled and if you're not really working well with a kind of good routine and your lists, then I think it sends you off balance a bit. It sends us all off balance, I think, when we haven't got a really good routine. But you do need to also watch out, I think, for unexpected injuries. That could also be with regard to what you say. Be careful how you talk whilst this Mercury is retrograde, in particular to work colleagues. Because sometimes, Capricorn, you can be very direct and a bit heavy. So just be mindful of that. But I really feel that your thinking with Jupiter in Pisces is going to feel very inspired, and it's going to be giving you a lot of excitement about future possibilities for what you're going to do and where you're going to move forward to. So there we go, Capricorn. Thank you so much for listening, and bye for now. Okay, so now we get to Aquarius, and this is for the Sun in Aquarius and for the Ascendant. I want you to think back, Aquarius, to what was going on for you in the middle of February. Around the home, maybe you moved house, or things were going on at home, or you had workmen around the house. But I think what was going on was causing you stress and tension, because you've got Saturn in your house at the moment. Saturn is really slowing you down. Now, I'm bringing up what was happening in February because we've got the same harsh angle between Uranus in Taurus in your 4th house, which is home and family, and Saturn in Aquarius, which of course is your sign. So Saturn is asking you to take your time about anything that is connected with family, changes, disruption to what goes on with the family, to somehow be able to roll with and not resist unexpected twists and turns that may come up with regards to home and family. Now, only you are going to know what or how that can play out for you. But this energy is going to be at its most keenly felt in the middle of June. But there will be a resolution further on down the line. If it's something that just doesn't seem to get resolved, by the end of the year, we will have another hard square. And at that point, I think you'll find a resolution. So let's look at what else is going on for you, because Jupiter, that has been in your sign and hopefully not expanding your waistline, but expanding your personality so that people love being around you, is moving into your house of finance, Pisces, just for a few weeks to give you a taste of what can happen when Jupiter lands in this wonderful area of your chart, to bring you windfalls, possible kind of lottery wins even. But it's just really good positive energy to have at this time in this part of your chart. And it's only going to be there for a few weeks, because then it will go retrograde. It'll come back into your 1st house, which is super lovely, because you'll have that again till the end of the year, which is fabulous, because it's just going to make you feel much more optimistic and see the opportunities as they come along and take them. And then Jupiter will move fully into Pisces next year. So next year is going to be really good for your financial situation, Aquarius. Let's see what else is going on this month, because on the 10th we have a solar eclipse in Gemini, and this is with a new moon. So if we have a solar eclipse, it's always a new moon phase, whereas a lunar eclipse is a full moon phase. So it's in Gemini, in your 5th house of children and of fun and creativity. So I think there's going to be a lot of action. I think there's going to be a lot of socializing, maybe at home, maybe with quite a few friends that you perhaps haven't caught up with for a time. It feels like there's kind of new beginnings starting. There may be, because it's a solar eclipse, there may be some things that are just delayed a bit or overshadowed. It may be that there's other things going on. Sometimes it's in our personal life, but sometimes it can just be what's going on in general with other people that can overshadow our kind of joy. So I don't want to put a dampener on it, but it's just that kind of energy is there. Because we've also got Mercury is in this part of your chart, currently retrograde. So I do think it's about hearing from a lot of friends and getting together with people and having a good time, because let's face it, all of us need a bit of that. And Mercury is actually going to be going direct on the 22nd. So things will kind of speed up and there'll be a lot of communication and news coming backwards and forwards. Let's lastly look at the full moon in Capricorn, which is your 12th house, and this is on the 24th. Now, a full moon sheds light on and brings some kind of conclusion or ending or change, big change. Now, because it's the part of your chart connected with the inner you, it may be that you recognize that a certain way of being, a certain way of behaving, because you've done some deep reflection, really doesn't serve you well anymore. So it may be a kind of sense of freedom that you're actually able to break out of a way of being that has not been good for you. So let's leave you with a few thoughts to finish off your reading. I think from mid-month, creative ideas are really worth pursuing. So whatever is kind of popping up in your imagination around mid-month, pay attention to them. I think also you need to make sure you keep some kind of balance in your life. Don't overextend yourself. Don't really kind of do too much, because there's a danger that you'll just kind of expend too much energy and really get a little bit out of balance. And finally, I just want to say, Aquarius, getting to know ourselves takes a long time. It's a lifetime's work. So don't be hard on yourself. Sometimes we just can't quite get hold of that thought that we know would make the difference, but it will come. So it just takes time. Okay, Aquarius, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Pisces. Okay, so this is for the Sun in Pisces and for the Ascendant in Pisces. Let's look at Saturn first, that's in your 12th house of Aquarius, because this is the part of your chart that's very much about you and your inner you and where you feel trapped or restricted. Now, Saturn's presence here is actually going to make you feel a little bit more restricted while it's there. But it's for a very good reason, because Saturn is trying to encourage you to have some really good dialogue with you to you, because Uranus is making a harsh angle to Saturn in your 12th house from Taurus, which is your 3rd house of communication. So I think information will come to you that is going to kind of really make you relook at the whole way you look at stuff. And I want you to think back, whilst I'm talking about this, to what was happening to you mid-February around this kind of idea of news coming in that's really making you question what and who and where you are and what you want to kind of do very much in life, because you're being challenged by Uranus down there. There is going to be some unexpected twists and turns, and this energy is coming back in the middle of this month. So it'll be exact on the 15th. So just be aware of that around that time, because don't give yourself a hard time. Just kind of take a deep breath, stand back, and give it time to unfold so that you can see where this is all going. This is not about knee-jerk reactions, Pisces. Don't do anything really drastic around this energy. But you have got, of course, Jupiter has just, who is your co-ruler, of course, he co-rules Pisces with Neptune, has just moved out of your 12th house and is now in your house of Pisces to give you a real boost of energy, optimism and hope. He's bringing this energy in just for a few weeks, just till about midsummer. Then Jupiter will move back into your 12th house before finally taking up residence in Pisces next year for quite a while. Now, this is going to be super good for you. It really is going to give you a boost of confidence, a boost of energy. You'll feel much more optimistic. I think opportunities will come your way that have perhaps been a bit lacking. You've just got to watch. We always have to watch with Pisces or with Jupiter in our first house that we don't get an expanding waistline, because that can really happen with this energy here. But let's see what else is going on, because in your fourth house, which is the part of your chart that's to do with home and family, not only do we have Mercury currently in Gemini retrograde here, so that will have been slowing down news, slowing down information that perhaps has to come from family or about family, or revisiting things or hearing from people in your family, distant family members that you haven't been in contact with for a time. But we've got a new moon solar eclipse on the 10th in this area of your chart connected with the home. This could bring the opportunity to actually, if you want to make changes, where you're living, then the opportunity could present itself. But I think what it's saying is that it's just not yet, because it's a solar eclipse. So it's like, for me, that always just makes things in the shadow. So it's like it's waiting in the wings a bit. But Mercury is going direct in this part of your chart on the 22nd. So at that point, things are going to move forward with regard to your sort of living arrangements, how you want to structure it, and how you want to, it may just be that you actually enjoy having family coming to stay at that time. It's summer after all. So we've also got Mars moving into Leo on the 12th, and this is your 6th house of day-to-day routine. So I think, in spite of it being holiday season up here in the Northern Hemisphere, I think you're going to be looking at really kind of sort of using a lot of energy and ideas to do with your daily routine and the way you structure your work. I think there's going to have I think you've just got to be careful actually that you don't actually burn the candles at both ends and trying to keep all these work ideas and balls in the air. The summer solstice is on the 21st. And this, of course, is when the sun moves into Cancer and your 5th house. This is a lovely time of year to enjoy actually having time with friends, your children if you have them. It can shed light on romance and having some nice gentle flirtations and just general enjoyment, which I think, all of us through the last certainly 18 months, having fun and just relaxing a bit has been quite difficult to have. So I think this is an opportunity for you to actually have a bit of that. Then on the 24th, in your 11th house, which is the area of your chart connected with your big plans, your ideas, your dreams, your hopes, your wishes, and where you would like to sort of, perhaps working with larger groups of people, then we have a full moon here in Capricorn, and it's on the 24th. Now, it may be that a project, you see a way to bring it to some kind of conclusion that will be very, you'll have put a lot of hard work into it. It's something that you've really, had to kind of spend time looking at how you can actually realize this particular perhaps project or dream. But this full moon in Capricorn is really going to be giving you the heads up for that. So that's good news. So to just leave you with a few thoughts before I go, I think you need to give more thought to home and family. They may, because you're so busy, because you have a lot going on in your life at the moment, Pisces, they may tend to feel a bit neglected. So just have some nice times together. Use that 5th house energy and Cancer there, to the sun in Cancer, to really just sit back and have a bit of just relaxation and rest and relaxation, isn't it? The other thing that you just need to be mindful of is don't let delays and frustrations that might be happening in your life take their toll on you physically, because from mid-month, things will get a lot easier. And please trust your intuitive gut feelings. You've got Neptune in your sign at the moment. Neptune is your ruler, and Neptune's going retrograde around about the 25th. Neptune's going to let you have a glimpse at that real kind of psychic part of yourself that is just always spot on. So trust that first thought that you have, Pisces, because it'll be right. Thank you so much for joining me, Pisces, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.